Hello, B1 family, and welcome back to the YouTube channel, The Big Black American Secret. My name is Daniel Jackson, and I'm going to read you the goal of this channel. But first, I want to mention to you what this video is going to be about. Grandmaster Jay had a court hearing yesterday, and a person who I follow had an interview with him outside the courthouse. And the person who I follow, his name, his YouTube channel is Major TV Let's Talk. In the interview, he's got his mask on, so you probably won't be able to hear too much of what some questions that he's asking Grandmaster Jay. But where I think I need to repeat the question, I will. It's not a very long video, so it's probably about 23 minutes long. So I want you to watch the video, and I believe I'll be titling this video. NFAC leadership restored. And the reason I believe I'm going to title that is because in one of my videos early on, when this first happened to Grandmaster Jay, I said, because of a lot of things that was going on within his organization, things were kind of falling apart. People were running left and right, and there's just a whole bunch of madness going on. So it's like I was saying that, his leadership may be a little shaky right now, but we'll see. And I also mentioned in that video that it's not so much, we can't focus on the man, per se, because it's bigger than him. This was a racist governmental attack on Grandmaster Jay with the sole purpose of crushing and killing strong, masculine black energy. It's no different than bug breaking on the plantations. Okay, you see what I'm saying? But because I mentioned about his leadership, I want to put into this video leadership restored based on what I heard, and we'll go through the video. We'll go through after the video plays, so you'll understand what I mean by that. Okay, I'm gonna read the goal of this channel real quick. The goal of this channel is to build an unstoppable army of knowledgeable black melanated people in America and around the world that understand that we as melanated people have one enemy worldwide, and that is the system of racism, white supremacy. Our mission through education is to replace this system with a system of freedom, justice, and equality as laid out by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. We will need your help in building this knowledgeable army. You can help by subscribing to this channel, by donating to this cause through Cash App or PayPal, and by sharing the videos you watch here and any knowledge that was shared. In doing so together, we help fertilize the mentally enslaved, colonized minds of black melanated people worldwide, creating the perfect mental conditions for our children to grow up in a better, more balanced world. Okay? So, and I don't want to hold this phone for 23 minutes, so I done a little nigger rigging. That's black folks, we the most creative people on this planet. We are the inventors of everything. So I'm gonna get this device going real quick, and I appreciate your patience with you. So give me a few seconds here. Oh crap! Let's see. Okay. All right. So. Oh, and yeah, so I'm gonna hit play and we're gonna go.
Hey, what's going on? Major TV. In cahoots with Talk Black Radio. We got exclusive interview. Supreme Leader, Commander, General of NFAC. Love this brother. We've been following him. We've been fighting for him. We just want to have a word with him because he came out here and we got some good news. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're not going to discuss that on here. Correct. We're not going to discuss that. Still, I want to hear from you, man, how you...
And I apologize, because of the mask, it's hard to hear right now. A few minutes from now, Grandmaster Jay is going to take his mask off, so you'll be able to hear him clearly. Anything that I think that you might not have heard from the host here, which is, again, someone who I follow, Major from Major TV Let's Talk, I'll just reiterate what he said.
About what's up with Grandmaster Jay. We're not hearing nothing. Is he all right? So let us know what's going on.
I'm good.
So great. That's what's up.
The only thing people need to understand is the situation that I'm dealing with right now is not something that a lot of people are even built to handle. So I'm standing strong. Everything that I've ever been through in my life has only prepared me for what I'm going through right now. The same thing with you. So I'm good, my brother. I'm real good.
Nah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Anybody else in a situation with a rope, with a game, man, I looked at you, man. I seen you speak. You like it's not volume, on the show. Tell people where you're forward to, you know, where you're coming from, you know, spiritually and whatever. It's remarkable how you.
Right there, he said a lot of people who may have not a lot of people are built to go through what you're experiencing right now. Tell us about your mental fortitude and how you're able to handle this.
That's the thing I don't understand about people. Y'all act like I'm supposed to be cracking up. Y'all act like I'm supposed to be how you make it. I'm gonna be real with you. The reason I'm not cracking because I'm built for this. You understand what I'm saying to you? In other words, if I have a cast iron pot and I put it in the oven, I expect it to get hot. I don't expect it to melt. That's why I put it in there. You get what I'm saying? What they're doing to me, you have to remember, I ran for the presidency. I already understand executive levels of leadership, way beyond what people see at street level. What's happening with me is more political than it is anything else. You understand what I'm saying? It's more than anything else. So what you're looking at is I'm handling this the same way I would handle it if I was sitting in the White House. That's something happened.
I want to hear that because you gotta realize you are different than everybody else. We don't know too much about you no more than you know what the image that.
Right now, he's pretty much repeating the same question, but maybe just in a different way.
So-called betrayed after came out.
Did they know anything about Malcolm X when he was Malcolm Little? No. Did they know anything about who Jesus or Yeshua was for 32 years before he came out? I just said y'all wasting too much time trying to figure out where it came from rather than dealing with the fact that it's here.
Right.
Nobody in history who has done anything of any significance had to come up and tell you where the fuck they came from. You think that Moses had to convince all of the Hebrews who he was to get them out of bondage? No, they just wanted to get out. You think Noah had to stand there and convince people, even though he was a drunk, that they needed to get on the boat before the flood came? Did you see Jesus anywhere in the slave master's Bible talking about who he used to be? We have become infected with this everybody got to be perfect before they can help me bullshit. Well, let me give you a news flash. The Creator takes the imperfect to do his perfect will. Right. There's not one person you can name for me who's significant in history that wasn't fucked up. Let me help you out. That's right. Moses was a murderer. Noah was a drunk. Jacob had baby mama drama. Rahab was a hoe. And he took all of them to do his greatness. Malcolm Little became Malcolm X. So we don't sit around talking about, well, I don't want him because he ain't perfect. Okay, well, where the perfect people at? Because they ain't got here yet. And you ain't gonna get one. And he keeps sending y'all people. And y'all keep doing the same thing. You keep rejecting him. So you know what he do? He send your ass to the back of the line and make you start over again. So I don't have to entertain those people who cannot perceive how I was able to achieve what they couldn't believe.
Right. And the reason why I asked that question because I really wanted to get out to everybody else about being strong under pressure. Understand this.
My brother, y'all got my nose running because it's cold out here, but let me explain something to you about my people. There's an old saying, I know you've heard this before. Y'all ever heard, you don't know what you got till it's gone? Right. That ain't true. For black people, you know what you got. You just didn't ever think that it would be gone. Thank you. Y'all think that you have these luxuries of having people like me that's always gonna pop up in your life or to save the day. They done brainwash y'all into believing that somebody gonna come help you instead of you helping yourself. They done made you think that you're a victim when a lot of times you could be the offender. Y'all always waiting for somebody else to do the heavy lifting so you can come and enjoy the benefits. Everybody wanna eat, but don't nobody wanna grow the food. Don't nobody wanna prepare the table. Don't nobody wanna clean up. Everybody want reparations, but ain't nobody ready to give their freedom for that shit. Everybody want reparations, but ain't nobody willing to sacrifice their little bit that they got. And then you got a bunch of people who think that because he didn't call them, that nobody else should get the opportunity.
Now, in my opinion, I think a lot of this you only can do it because of these top got so many cheese.
Bullshit. Our problem is not leadership. Our problem is individualism.
Yes. Right.
Everybody thinks only about themselves.
Right.
If it don't benefit them, they don't give a shit about nobody else.
That's right.
You got like 20 leaders that's not coming together. You got fraction of black people.
Then you have to examine their motives. You have to examine what's driving them. You have to examine their ulterior motives. You see, all of us used to be babies. We all came up a different way. Some of us got love, some of us didn't. And we go through life trying to fix it. You ever heard of sisters? They say got daddy issues. So they run from man to man to man to man, trying to find what they didn't get from their daddy. They never gonna find that. You got brothers out here who got daddy issues. They never had a real father. They didn't. So they hang out with brother, looking for somebody to give them what they didn't get. And if they don't get it, they treat them the same way they treated everything else. They attack it. They tear it down. Right. Because before you can lead, you have to be able to lead yourself.
Yes, sir. Man, he said it so good.
Malcolm said that.
Well, I'm saying
it's cold out here, bro. Why you got me out here, bro? No, I don't need none of them.
I'm concerned, brother. You have so many different factors of leadership, and everybody can play their role, but why we on that round table, like at the very you talked about 1884, when the Europeans got together to buy Africa, the ones that didn't have more, they pleased them because they were complaining. Why we can't come together? Because, like...
He's still asking about leadership, black leaders coming together and having a big meeting and getting all on the same page, which is really a good question. But, you know, I'll just let Grandmaster Jay answer that question.
When the mom and daddy, cousin, brother, we still have a problem, whereas you have one person saying this, one person saying that, and everybody basically saying the same thing because I want to be the man, and I'm over this group. Why we can't just sit down and shit have a top lead and everybody have some leaders? We don't like the home and whatever, transgender and all that. I'm saying that, you know, Russia. I'm saying this is why we just can't come together and just chop this up?
Because, as I said before, until we can heal ourselves, we're not going to get together. You see, unity is not...
How we do that then?
What was I teaching y'all about releasing the mental chain? You have to clean yourself mentally. You have to clean your mind. I told y'all, the worst colonization that ever happened was not slavery, where they came and took your bodies. It wasn't when they came and took your resources. It wasn't when they stole your religion. It wasn't when they even rewrote your history. It was the colonization of your mind.
Right, yes, sir.
So the civil rights movement was about physical things. Can I sit next to you? Can I ride with you? You get what I'm saying? Can you call me a different name? Can I vote with you? But what you didn't do is you didn't fight for the fact that I need my mind back. I want my culture back. I want my history back that's hidden in the Vatican. I want y'all to stop digging up my ancestors and putting them on display. I want y'all to stop pretending we didn't do this shit.
That's right.
Stop trying to figure out who built the pyramids. You know who built the pyramids.
You know what I'm saying?
Stop trying to figure out where the gold came from. You know where the gold came from. Stop trying to figure out the mysteries of the Bible. The Bible is nothing but...
And I don't know if I mentioned before, but I don't want any copyright strikes. This is for educational purposes only. Okay? Thank you.
History. Stop it. And until we can clean our minds from the colonization that's been put into us, then we can never come together because we've been brainwashed, my brother. There's people out here right now that's brainwashed. It's not always a negative thing to be brainwashed because there's different levels to it. But some of us need a little more scrubbing than the other one. And that's why they shut me up, because in order for you to stay awake, sometimes you gotta need another cup of coffee to keep you going. Okay? Because remember, as soon as they shut me up, now all of a sudden it's anti-gun this. Now all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Now they pushing another narrative on you. The needle or the bullet. Y'all got your vaccinations yet? Notice that's all they pushing on you now. That's all they pushing on you. That's all they pushing. Remember, it's a mental game. If I can control your mind, I can control you. I can control what you believe and what you don't believe. If I can control your mind, I can control your sex drive. I can control your entertainment. I can control your political beliefs. I can control what you believe about your brother and sisters.
Right.
I control your mind.
Right.
And if I make you believe that everything that I tell you is good for your mind, and everything that everybody else tells you is bad for your mind, now you understand where the statement comes from. Y'all don't believe nothing till the white man says.
Right.
That's because he has your mind. All of these things we talk about, unity, leadership, liberation, has nothing if we don't have the mind of the people. And that's what I was doing. I was going after your mind. And they saw that.
Right.
We want things, but we are not looking at the first part of that sentence. Look what I said. We want things. Now watch me break this down. The things we know, you just listed them.
All right.
The want, because we don't have. But the part we ignore is the we is not we. The W is flipped. Me want things.
Right. That's
And
right.
until we can make the me a we,
We.
you can forget about the want, you can forget about the things. And the me is in the mind. Hope I answered your question.
Oh, it's clear. But look, first I want to thank you, man. At first, when I first heard about y'all on the Brunswick, I was like, Brunswick guns. I was like tripping, you know, because I'm from New Orleans, the headquarters where Black Panthers at, our housing project in New Orleans. Only I remember remnants of a building called Violence. People know about Violence. They had images of black people killing whites, last black people, what have you. So outside that, I've never seen a brother come in your phone speaking when he was speaking. And not just words, we hear people talking, some of the things you talk about, but it didn't come with the action. It didn't really, I had to turn word to action. You did that. And I want to personally thank you. It's cold as hell. I'm going to keep you out your bro. I love you, man. I'm fighting for you because I have never seen nobody oppose white people like you did. And when I went to lab year, I had to go and see myself. And when I see you, and you told people the reason why you really do this, you can remember that. I look at that little girl eyes, you referred at me because I was filming this, another brother behind me. And you was talking about you love us and how, you know, you want to help change our conditions. I'm only paraphrasing. You know how you was actually saying it. It touched my heart, bro. It convinced me 100% because I really was inspired to do what I'm doing. I'm not the social media guy. I'm not into all that stuff. But I wanted to do something because there's so many people, like you said, brainwashed. We all have experienced that. I just want to personally thank you, bro. If you want to have last words in general, you can do that. I love you, man. You're everything to me, bro.
This brother right here stepped up, started talking when it wasn't popular. He didn't bandwagon and run over to the spectator show. Teacup, you can go over there.
We done smashed.
I'm sorry, that's the funniest shit I've seen in a minute. I don't know how y'all watch that. When the brothers decided to speak righteously, and he did, along with a couple of other brothers. The sad part about it is, I'm gonna say this to you, brother. is that I know we got some good brothers and sisters out here who honestly believe that what they were doing or what they believed in is righteous. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't care what movement you've been a part of, what organization you've been a part of, you thought that was the right thing to do. You put your money on the line, you put your soul on the line, you went and you did what you had to do. But if you're too stubborn, or too stupid, or too much of a follower to not realize when you're on the wrong boat, then you stay on that boat. And when it sinks, don't ask us to help you. Because the last time I checked, damn, that plane is low. She jumped, that's how low it is. You see this? You can't run from the plane, baby. See? And then you know what if you did, black people, I'd be like, we don't be bullshit, you know that.
I thought you were going to say ghetto.
No, ain't nothing ghetto about it. It was very, very low. It caught me off guard. I thought we would end just like that. Like they took us out like that, bro.
That ain't no Jones, man. That ain't no Jones, bro.
What I'm saying to you is this, is that that's cool, but remember this. What we're doing right now, and y'all seen this, a lot of people, they say they want this, but as soon as they came for me, a lot of y'all tuck y'all tails and ran. A lot of people, all of a sudden, they didn't know no more. It was all smiles and sunshine when we were standing in formation. But as soon as the man came back at us, a lot of people suddenly, like Peter.
Right.
Ain't you NFAC? No, bro, no.
Now I see people whole channel different now.
Everybody dropped everything, stopped everything. So brothers like him step up when it's unpopular. To stand against the bullshit are the ones that are going to be around when it's over. And all those people will come to you next. Because yes, it's okay to follow certain people, y'all, even me. But remember, you have to be about the movement and not the man.
Yes, sir.
Because there's always going to be another man. But you don't get but one movement. So what done happened now is with all of this stuff that's playing out, this is our children's history books that's being written right now. These pictures, all these videos, y'all little kids right now, they're going to be looking at this in 20, 30 years. This is their civil rights movement. And they're going to be like, Grandma, I saw you in there. Uncle, I saw you. You was out there? You was out there? But yeah. And to them, you're the inspiration. These kids today, they hear about Malcolm, they hear about Martin. That shit might as well be the Stone Age to them. They hear about it, but they can't relate to that. But they can see this. Yeah. Most men who end up beating on women do it because they grew up seeing it. Not because somebody taught them that this shit was going on for years. Most sisters that do a lot of crooked stuff to brothers grew up because they saw it growing up. People do what they see, not what you tell them. So think about what we're showing them right now. The same kids that y'all used to get around and watch Facts Over Feelings every night, watch Morning Mills. I seen the pictures. They get their families in front of the TV. The kids love that shit. They be asking their mama, when is Grandmaster Jay coming back on? These are kids. Now them kids don't see me no more. They don't. They still on the internet, so they see y'all. They saw their mama and daddy get suited and booted and go to the formations. Then they try to figure out, Mama, what's going on? Your kids are looking at this, and when they get older, and Martin Luther King come around and Malcolm X, and they're gonna be like, I don't know nothing about that, but I do remember NFAC. When I was growing up, that's what it was. Okay? That's what the young kids are looking at now. So you're always gonna have a movement. But when they go back and dig through all of the archives of this, they're only gonna find certain stuff. Your stuff gonna be found. Your stuff gonna be found, my brother. OC stuff gonna be found.
That's right.
You know who ain't gonna be found?
Tika.
Y'all didn't hear that from me. I didn't hear that from me. But while I am here, I'm gonna speak real quick. I'm gonna speak on something real quick. I'm gonna say this. I my brothers and sisters who are members of the Black Panthers, New Black Panther Party, People's Self-Defense, all the different iterations of the Black Panthers. To all my brothers and sisters who are members of the Huey Newton Gun Club, members of the Fred Hampton Gun Club, members of every organization that we've had a chance to work with, I got nothing but love for you. Just remember, stand on the principles of what you were founded on, and not on what people are trying to tell you today in the directions they're trying to take you, because some people have their own agendas.
Yes, sir.
Last but not least, as far as the NFAC is concerned, let me help y'all out. And I'm glad I got a chance to do this show. Without me, there is no NFAC. Period. I own it. It's mine. And if I go away, it will go away. You know how I know? Because I've been gone for 3 months and ain't nobody stepped up yet.
Come on now.
That says enough right there. There's a vacuum right now.
Big fact.
Y'all too busy fighting over and trying to tear down something because you can't duplicate it. You didn't get the call. I did. And I'm walking in it. Y'all either walk with me or get the fuck out the way. Because you ain't built for this. You thought you was. You're not. And if you was, you'd be out here with the rest of these folks. And you're not. So I don't want to hear that no more. The NFAC ain't going nowhere. We're global. When the news people want to ask the opinion of black people, who do they call? You. Thank you. I don't see none of these other people getting called. I don't see no leaders calling up representing none of these other groups. Kings and queens and ambassadors. We've got land that's been given to us. If you was on the call, you heard it. Every country is giving us land now.
That's right.
They just waiting for me to get y'all together.
I'm ready.
You know the sad part about it is?
That's the biggest fight.
Some of y'all gonna have to stay behind.
Not everybody chose it.
And I don't want to leave y'all behind. I don't. Other than that, brother, love you, man. Glad you came out, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep your knee on their necks. Keep the comedy down, though, because you be killing me. and if I can help anybody out, because I'm not a hater. I want everybody to be successful. When you do your show, get to it.
Yes, sir.
You ain't got to shout everybody out. They love you, or they wouldn't be there. I be waiting for you to get into it. I done ate my food. You know what I'm saying? I finished the drink. Smoke without smoke. And you still ain't got to it yet. Okay? All right. We'll leave it at that. So, thank you. Love you, brother. Love you, man. Please to Talk TV. Officially.
All right. Appreciate y'all patience with that. So I'm gonna go over a few things that assures me that the NFAC's leadership is intact, and I'm now that I've heard what I heard and understood what I'm saying, I'm pretty sure at probably not at one point during this whole ordeal did Grandmaster Jay think his leadership was in question. But at the same time, those of us on the outside who's concerned about the movement, of course, we see what we see and we have concerns. You understand what I'm saying? But again, let me just go through this and then we'll chop it up as we go through it. Okay? So, and again, these are things that let me know that his leadership is intact. Okay? Starting off, he said that he's built for this, and I believe he is. I think he is. He says that he understands executive levels of leadership that most people don't, and that's very good to hear. It's very good to understand. He says that he's not perfect, and none of us are. You understand what I'm saying? And when he was asked about people coming together and trying to everybody get on the same page, he mentioned a few things, but nothing stood out more to me than this. He says, The problem isn't leadership. The problem is individualism. And it's good he knows that. That'll keep him grounded. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? And then something else he noticed, he says, we have to clean our minds of colonization. And that's true. That is very true. In fact, I did a video yesterday where I spoke on the fact that we all got a little bit of, well, some it ain't little, some it's a lot, but we all have an inner slave. And it's also an inner coon. You know, you can call it either or, they interchangeable. But that's your colonized mind. And you have to work every day to get rid of that inner slave because it's not healthy, okay? So he mentioned that. And he another thing he mentioned, and I'm just going down the list, okay? He says after they shut him up, now the government is talking about gun control. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then the next thing is, well, he mentioned about we have to capture the minds of our people, which is true. And it is a battle because the white man has our people's minds right now. But it's up to people like him, people like me, people like you. We have to do what we can on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a yearly basis, a 10-year basis, a 25-year basis, a 50-year basis to constantly try to capture the minds of our people. You understand what I'm saying? That's real important. And I guess this is for people who are not focused on being B1 and down for the cause. He says, if you're not on the right boat, stay on that boat. He says if you don't know, if you're not smart enough to know, if you're on the wrong boat, just stay on that boat. And I get him on that. If you're the kind of person who just stuck on stupid, just for being stupid, and you're not open to examine facts and make new decisions, you just want to stick with old information and just be wrong, then you need to go down with that boat. If you're that married to that wrong information and that wrong cause, then you need to go down with that boat. I feel that. I understand that. And then he says when the government came at him, a lot of his people or people who say they was down with him ran. And I kind of look at this certain example is like stocks. When you buy stocks in a company, and if the company has strong leadership or management, then when it goes through a correction, meaning like a bad quarterly report, then some investors are going to jump ship. They're going to take their money and run because they ain't trying to have too many losses. But the people who believe in the leadership, believe in that company and where the company's headed, they're gonna stay. They're gonna sell their stocks. So after a period of time and the stock prices start to go back up, those investors who stay the course, they'll be rewarded with higher stock prices, and then you'll get newcomers that come onto the company. To buy the stocks, and the stocks will continue to rise. And then it'll have another area where there's some stormy weather, and if the leadership is strong and they're headed in the right direction, you'll have some other people that's going to fall by the wayside. It's basically the shakeout is shaking out the weak people, and the ones that stay on are those are your strong members. You can look at it that way. Okay. And he said that we have to be about the movement and not the man. Bingo. That is huge. Huge. Because in one of my videos, and I believe the video is called The Racist Public Lynching of Grandmaster Jay of the NFAC. And I commented about his leadership because there was a whole bunch of people saying things about his character and this, that, and the other. And I guess at the time he couldn't defend himself or didn't want to defend himself. And it didn't matter. At that point, leadership is in question for whatever reason, just from not knowing. It's like a shaky company. We don't know what's going on there. So because I put that out there in this video, I want to do this video to say, hey, I believe his leadership is intact. And I've been with him for day one as far as, his ideology, the fact that He's headed in the right direction. We need this type of movement. And it's not about the man. And I said this in the video. I didn't use them exact words. I said the government is publicly trying to lynch Grandmaster Jay, just like they've done to all strong black masculine men with that kind of energy that stood up in the past. They killed them. Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton. You see what I'm saying? And I was hell bent on not allowing this to happen to Grandmaster Jay. This man stood up for his people. He is B1 for real. And I was very upset that not a lot of other B1 people were not standing up. I was lit. I was very upset. You understand what I'm saying? And I called a few people out. I said their names on my broadcast because I want them to say, hey, y'all need to don't be on the wrong side of history on this thing. We cannot allow not one of us to be publicly lynched or killed by this racist government again, ever. That is unexcusable. We ain't got to be 100% on board with what this person talking about or that person talking about. But if that person has stood up for his people and that person is black first, that person on the team. That person on the team, because it ain't about that individual. It's about the movement. It's about the ideology. Our goal is to destroy this system of racism, white supremacy. And we can only do that if we first recognize who our enemy is and we don't allow them to kill our people. We don't allow them to kill our people. You understand what I'm saying? Years ago, and we've heard the stories about the plantation, when you get a strong buck, protective buck, who was on the plantation, and he was trying to protect his people, the white slave owners will take that buck, make a public example of him, embarrass him, beat him, and then kill him in front of everybody else to make an example of him. What that slave master is doing is killing the protective masculine energy in that whole entire group. And he's letting that black female know she has no protection. At that point, she becomes fearful. She will now break her children for the slave master. Do y'all see how dangerous this is? We cannot allow these things like this to take place anymore. Okay, so let me go on. I'm very passionate about this topic. Okay, so this is the when he said this, I just knew it was sealed, because strong leadership means ownership. When I was in the grocery business, the people under me, the department heads who I managed, if a person didn't take ownership of that department, I knew they wasn't going to be a strong leader. You need ownership. You don't need people that's going to pass the buck. See? So he said, without him, there is no NFAC. I own it. And legally, he does own it. You know what I'm saying? But I think he means, not I ain't saying what he mean, because he said what the fuck he meant. What I'm saying is, if a person owns something, they're going to fight for it. That's all I'm saying. If they own something, they're going to fight for it. Okay? Now, and the last thing he mentioned was this is his calling. This is what he was put here to do. Understand what I'm saying? And all of that, that's 12 points. And they all, to me, point to the fact that his leadership is intact. It's restored. Okay? And again, not that he seemed to have ever questioned his leadership. You know what I'm saying? It's just that people on the outside who was listening to this and hearing that and seeing this, you know, and none of that was my concern. My concern was the movement. My concern was this racist governmental attack on this man. You understand what I'm saying? And that's still my concern. Still my concern. Because this government ain't going to lay down. They just going to recoup and regroup. And we got to be ready for that. So I'm hoping I can help energize more people behind this cause, because we all, as black people, need to understand that we need to defend ourselves. We need to be armed, and we need to be ready to make the appropriate moves and protect our neighborhoods. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so and I'm gonna mention this. The only way to end governmental racism, white supremacy, is to first know 100% that our government is racist and it's white supremacist because of who runs it, because of the people that are in charge, because of the way this country was created. You know, and there's a lot of people who don't see that or are afraid to say it. And there's no harm to speak the truth. You have freedom of speech. This is not anti-United States is what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is this system, this governmental system that is racist. Do you know 30 days after Grandmaster Jay was seen in South Georgia behind Ahmaud Arbery's murder, 30 days, Trump had William Barr create that racist task force that caused them to go and arrest Grandmaster Jay of the NFAC. I mean, that is... I'm going to spend the rest of my days bringing this kind of information to my people because that is so blatant. It is so blatant, and not enough of our people have said anything about this. That and this is a racist governmental attack on strong black protective masculine energy. Please understand this, okay? Now, I'm pretty much done hit all my points. You understand what I'm saying? And I hope more and more people starts to get behind this movement. You understand what I'm saying? Because whether y'all know it or not, we are at war, and we have been at war for 529 years. Our history books are misleading. This channel is called The Big Black American Secret. And the secret is you are an Aboriginal American. You're not African American. You're not from West Africa. In fact, your people were taken from here to Sierra Leone, West Africa, to Europe, to Spain, and other parts of America. Before there was any type of slavery on this continent, it was Indian slavery. There are 94 documented Indian wars on this continent for the sole purpose of slave catching. You're on the right channel. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, hit all to be notified of all the things. But I'm going to leave you with this one thing. I'm going to leave you with this one thing. Would you say that this copper penny matches my complexion? Yes? Now, I'm going to Google something, and I want you to Google it as well, but I'm going to read it so you don't have to really, but it's very important, people, that we know who we are. If we know who we are, we know what we're fighting for. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm Googling the year 1828 definition of American. That definition has been hidden from us. Hidden. Because if you look up the definition of just American now, it won't say any of this. This definition is important for two reasons. Now, I'm going to point them out to you, but let me just read it to you. Here it is right here. It says American, a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. The one cent penny is copper, okay? But now applies to the descendants of Europeans born in America. Now that last sentence tells you that your identity is constantly trying to be stolen. It says American now applies to the descendants of Europeans born in America. Think about it. Just me saying that, a few things should come to mind. White people, when they get angry at Mexican people and other people who they feel like don't belong here, what do they tell them? Y'all need to go back to y'all country. Which means that this country belongs to us, white people. No, white people, it don't belong to you. It belongs to the Aboriginal American, a.k.a. the Black American is the Aboriginal American. Now, I'm going to pull up another definition for you just for a little bit more clarity. What color is copper? Okay, another Google search. This is going to blow your mind. What color is, I'm going to say a copper penny. Let's see what comes up. All right. A few things come up here. Let me just read the screen. Okay, so now this is what comes up. It's like it's a graph of pennies from the lighter shade to the darker shade. And if my computer don't start acting right, it says to accurately grade copper coins, you must be able to describe the color of the copper. Over time, the brilliant orange reddish color is a freshly minted copper coin. So the color is an orange reddish color. You know, I'm gonna keep reading. Such as the Lincoln cent will diminish and fade to a deep chocolate brown as this degradation of color occurs. There are varying degrees in which both red and brown colors will exist simultaneously on the surface of the coin. This color this color designation only applies to uncirculated copper coins. All circulated copper coins are assumed to be brown and red. The Indian was called the red man, the brown man. People, do you understand what I'm telling you? Your identity has been viciously stolen. Viciously stolen. You on the right channel. You are on the right channel. Just about everything we have been told to us is a lie. But again, my goal is to teach my people who they are. I didn't know this growing up. I promise you, I just learned this about 2 years ago, and I've gone down and learned a lot more. My grandmother, growing up, she always had a look about her, like she might be mixed with Indian and black. And when I say Indian, I'm talking about the Mongolian Indian. Now we're talking about. Let me just mention something about the Mongolian Indian, and I said Mongolian for a reason. The Indians in our history book, that's a Mongolian breed of Indian that come across the Bering Straits 12,000 years ago, and this is what leading paleontologists tell us. Those people are from Asia. They're Eskimos. This is the 2020 census. Most of y'all was mailed this last year. If you go to the part that says American Indian, it'll tell you in this small paragraph that these people are Eskimos. You understand what I'm saying? And that's all they ever were. Now, here's what happened. And I'm talking about identity theft. The Europeans came here. They saw the Mongolian, the Eskimo people. It was a small number of them. And they said, you know what? If we need to, we can get rid of these people real quick. Or we could put them in, I don't know, what do you call those camps where you capture people and you put them in camps? I don't know, but I don't know what you call concentration camps. We'll go with concentration camps or reservations. All of these copper colored people, these brown people, these red people walking around here by the millions, we're going to tell everybody we brought them here as West African slaves, just so that we can be considered American. People, the European did the same thing in Europe. The white European stole the identity of the Aboriginal European in Europe. I promise you, you on the right channel. I know all of this shit sound crazy, but you're on the right channel. But getting back to my grandmama, she never mentioned anything about being Indian. I never asked because she never mentioned. I just was thinking it. Never said nothing. Now, after I learned about what I was learning about Indians, because a stranger told me, he whispered, I say whispered in, but he dropped a bug in my head. He said, the transatlantic slave trade was told to us in reverse. And he said, you should follow a fellow named Dane Calloway. So I said, okay, well, sound interesting. So a couple of weeks later, I saw the name Dane Calloway come on across my computer, so I started watching a couple of his videos, and I'll be damned. I'll be damned. Please subscribe to Dane Calloway's channel. And I mean, this dude goes into documents, that's the old documents, and he digs up this stuff, man. I tip my hat to that brother, because he is a researcher for real, and he for the cause. Okay, so I was on the phone with my brother, and I was talking to him about these things, and I mentioned to him about grandmama. I said she always looked like she might be Indian, and he said, you know what, Daniel, I always thought that too. But then one day I was working in the garden with grandmama and granddaddy, and my people, my grandmama and granddaddy from Arkansas. They moved to Illinois before I was born, and we ended up moving to Illinois and living with them. And so he said, we was in the garden, him, grandmama, and granddaddy, and he said he kept asking grandmama, you got to be Indian. You look Indian. Tell me about your Indian heritage. And she would never say nothing. And so finally, my granddaddy got irritated, and he said, boy, lay up off your grandmama with them kind of questions. We done lost too many people behind it. And then he didn't say shit else. You feel what I'm saying? Now, I talked to my oldest living relatives after that. At the time, I had an auntie and uncle who were the oldest, and an auntie and uncle who were younger. And one of my uncles just passed a few months ago. But I talked to him before he went into a coma and passed. And I asked him, and he says, no, nephew, I don't personally know of anything in our history or our relatives about India. I said, okay. And this was the youngest uncle. And I talked to the auntie, I think was a little older than him. And she says, no, nephew, I don't personally know of anything in our history in our ancestry about Indians. She says, but my sister talks about it a whole lot, right? And she said I should call her, right? So I didn't call her right away. I called my oldest living uncle. And I asked him the same question about Indian heritage. And he said, yeah, nephew, we got Indian in our bloodline, and we also got Irish and German relatives. I was like, wow, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And he told me more and more, and where they grew up at and all of these things. And I took down notes, and I was very excited about that. And then I called my auntie, and she lives in California now, and she told me even more. And she says, yes, sir, nephew. She says, on grandfather's side, we're Blackfoot Indian. On grandmama's side, we're Sioux Indian, And she told me the name of her grandfather and a lot of stuff. It was just mind blowing. And I said, well, I'm confused, auntie. And this was a different day. I didn't talk to her this conversation all in one time. I was overwhelmed with the information, so I waited a week and stuff. But I told her, I said, I'm confused. Well, how is it that you know all of this information? You and your older brother, but your two younger brothers and sisters don't know. And she says, well, let me tell you, my oldest brother, who's an excellent swimmer, was hung. Well, he let slip that he was Indian. He was hung, killed, and threw in the river because of that, And then she also said that her sister right up under there was rumors that she had been raped by two white men for the same reason, because of her Indian heritage. And after that, my grandmama obviously nutted up. She wasn't trying to lose no more relatives. You understand what I'm saying? So that made sense to me. And then I also come across this information called the Racial Integrity Act. Walter Pleckler, I think Virginia, this fellow was from, and he was in charge of vital statistics. And it was against the law for black people to try to say that you were Aboriginal or you were Indian. That was a death sentence for our people. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you here? This is the reason we don't know about this. We've been given this false narrative about the transatlantic slave trade. Now, talking about the transatlantic slave trade, let me mention something. Let me pull up another definition for you. Now, we all heard about the transatlantic slave trade, especially if we saw the movie Roots. Alex Haley was looking for his relatives in Africa, and he found them, and so he made that link between folks here and folks in Africa. Well, come to find out, Alex Haley was sued for plagiarism because that a white man wrote that story, and Alex Haley stole it, and he was successfully sued, which means that Alex Haley lied. You understand what I'm saying? But getting back to the transatlantic slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade supposedly started in 1619 when they brought the 20 and odd Africans over from West Africa. Well, come to find out that those 20 odd Africans were not from West Africa. Those 20 and odd supposedly Africans were pirated off a Spanish ship in the West Indies. A Spanish ship and a Portuguese, they enslaved Indians in the Caribbean islands. So how do we know that those people were Indians? Well, the Spanish baptized their slaves. They call it the encabriamiento system. So of the 20, 11 of their names were recorded, and they had Spanish names like Antonio, Elizabeth, stuff like that. So those were not West African slaves. They were Indians who had already been enslaved by the Spanish. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, but getting back to the transatlantic slave trade. That was a cover story for the real slave trade. You want to know the name of the real slave trade? Well, let's do another Google search. Okay? And I'm going to type in International Indigenous American Slave Trade. All right. All right. And I had to go down quite a ways on this because a lot of these up here, they'll try to throw in some other crazy stuff, but I want to get straight to the real deal. My computer running a little slow. I do apologize. And that's not it. Okay. And I tell you that this. Let me do that again real quick, because sometimes the powers that be tripping. And again, it's called, you can look it up, International Indigenous American Slave Trade. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, they constantly moving stuff around. But I did find this here, and I'm gonna read it. It says, European colonies purchased indigenous people as slaves as part of the international indigenous American slave trade, which lasted from the 15th century into the 19th century. 15th century, that's the 1400s. 19th century, that's the 1800s. Okay? So, that being said, wait a minute. This slave trade started sooner, lasted longer, and it was of indigenous Americans. In our history book, indigenous Americans were those Mongolian Indians. Woo! And you know what I'm saying, on the Hollywood movies, right? But they said that they couldn't enslave the Indians because they would run away. And so therefore, they went and got West African slaves. This is what you were told, am I not right? Of course it was, because that's what everybody was told. So, it's a whole lot of things, there's question marks here about what you was taught before. You know what I'm saying? People, we've been viciously lied to. You're on the right channel. Subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell to be notified when I make new videos, and keep you upgraded. I also teach. What I do is there's over it's well over 100 hours of video information, and it's video, so you can just sit and watch. You don't have to do a whole lot of reading. And it goes through documents from the 1400s, the 1500s, the 1600s, documents in England, Spain. I mean, it's all laid out. And we have to get this information in us to override all the colonization that was told to us. Again, these people's goal is to steal our identity, and they have been doing a job of that since we've met them. You see how they hide things? But anyway, so it's $49 for the video material. And if you want, I also provide coaching. It's the same video study material, but I hold your hand, because when you go through this information, you're gonna be, it's gonna depress you a little bit, because first off, you're learning that your identity was stolen. So you're losing someone. It's like a death in your family. Like when my mother passed, I went through the 5 stages of grief. When you lose your old identity, you're going to go through the 5 stages of grief. I promise you. You may not go through them the way I went through them, but you will go through them. With coaching, I can hold your hand and help you through that process and speed it up for you. You understand what I'm saying? So it's really important, and you'll be a part of a group, and it'll make that much easier for you. I didn't have that, so I took a couple of lumps as far as time goes. You understand what I'm saying? And that's $199. Again, people, you own the right channel. For whatever reason that brought you here, I'm glad you're here. We have work to do. And you know the mission of this channel. It is to end the system of racism, white supremacy, and replace it with the system of freedom, justice, and equality laid out by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Her video will be in the description. So after you watch this video, sit down with your children and watch her video. Every black person needs to see her video, because until we understand the system of racism, white supremacy, all of your bad situations you believe are caused by you. You think that they're your fault. But no, these things were created by your open enemy. Very important that you know that. Okay, so thanks for hanging out with me. And I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.